Nice stack of book recommendations for you. I have 5 recommendations here. And these are all books that I've read and I've loved as well. They all have really good reviews. So there's some literary fiction, and there's some thriller, and kind of like fantasy horror as well. Stay till the end, or if you don't want to stay till the end, at least fast forward to the end, because I'm saving the best book for last. Okay, so I don't really know where to start here because I really love all of these books. I think I'm gonna start with the more spooky and atmospheric ones. So the first book that I have is called The St. Ambrose School for Girls by Jessica Ward. This book is, as you can see, it's about a school for girls. So the main character in this book is an outcast, I guess. She's just not like popular. She also has a very serious case of bipolar. So she goes to this new prestigious boarding school, and it's kind of like a Mean Girls type of like vibe when she gets there. Like there's this one really popular girl named Greta who's like really mean to her. Like it's one of those like high school like Mean Girls kind of stories, but it's really dark. If you've ever seen the movie Heathers, it's not like the Mean Girls movie where it's just like fun and poppy. It's like really dark and like atmospheric. It's a thriller for sure. It's a thriller set in like September, October, so it's perfect to read this time of year. And the next book I have is, I'm not sure if I would call this a spooky book. It's called The Lighthouse Witches, and it's written by C.J. Cooke. This book is really, really good. As you can see, it's obviously about witches, and I loved this book. I liked it not only because it was like a spooky kind of like Halloween-y kind of like witchy book, but also because the characters in it are actually very, they're fleshed out very well, and you actually build a connection with the main character. So it's about this mother, and she moves to this island in like the Netherlands or like England or Ireland or something with her 2 daughters, and she's a single mom, and there's a lighthouse on their property or close to their property, and it's like a lot of spooky weird stuff happens at the lighthouse. If you want a witchy book to read, then definitely read this one. It has 4 stars on Goodreads. I would definitely even read more books from this author just because I enjoyed this book so much. Okay. The next book that I have is definitely a lot more well-known than the last 2. Just finished reading this, The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This book is so good, especially because it's literary fiction. I could not put it down when I was reading it. The prologue in the book, it really sets you up for suspense for the rest of the story. You are aching to know how the story, how it all comes together at the end, and like it's still like crazy, like so I guess a synopsis on this book would be that it's about this guy. He's like 20 or something, and he moves to a different state to go to some like prestigious college, and then he gets involved with a group of very prestigious young adults. They're just a very academic little close-knit group of friends, but it's not really a cozy book. It's more of like an atmospheric, like scary book. Like it's not scary like horror, but it's just like scary like, whoa, people can actually be that way. Okay, for the next book, I would say this book is also literary fiction. This next one is City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's like more of a cozy book to read. It's not really a romance. It kind of takes place over like a period of like 4 years. Something about this book is just very cozy, and like I feel like the best time of year to read it is in the autumn or the winter. So anyway, it's about a young girl in the 1940s. She's like 19 years old. She's very rebellious, and she gets kicked out of her prestigious college. Her parents make her move to New York City to stay with her aunt who owns a theater. Theater life in New York City. When you read it, you feel like you're actually there. It's so good. There's a lot of like 1940s nightlife in it, and it's just like, oh, it makes you want to be there because it's so much better than what we have nowadays. Like, it was such a time to be alive. My favorite book right now. Everything was so different. Okay, and for the last book that I have here, you've definitely heard of the movie if you haven't watched it, but the book is entirely different from the movie. Breakfast at Tiffany's, you literally want to be Holly Golightly when you're reading this. In my opinion, it is so much better than the movie as well, because in the time that movie was made, they didn't want to portray the actresses in a certain way because it would be bad for their career pretty much. So the character Holly Golightly in the movie is completely different than the character Holly Golightly in the book. I'll give you a little synopsis. So it's written from first person perspective of a young man who moves to New York and gets his very own first apartment in New York. So in the book, he moves to this apartment and he has his neighbors, like the other people who live in the apartment, and one of those neighbors is Holly, and he kind of just like sees her around for the summer and they never actually interact with each other, but he's like entranced with her. So he ends up meeting her after the summer is over, and it's like autumn when they start hanging out and having a bunch of shenanigans. It's only that long, so you could read this in like a couple of days. Some of my favorite books to read in the autumn. Comment below if there's anything that you would like me to make a video about. I'd like to really explore a lot of different like niches, I guess, and just like different types of videos to make. Just let me know if there's anything that you want to see. And thank you for watching this video, and happy October, and happy Halloween, and happy Thanksgiving.